Voidwalker has always been one of the best all-around subclasses in the entire game, and with Lightfall, it's gotten even better. So in this one, I want to go over my updated mod system that I'm going to be running with my Voidwalker, alongside talking about some of the seasonal artifacts that pair extremely well with the build. This build is extremely easy to play, and you can take it into pretty much every single bit of content in the game, and it will get you through it just fine. You're going to be able to weaken everything, spam infinite grenades, and have some of the best survivability in the entire game. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's first start off taking a look at our aspects. So we're going to be running Chaos Accelerant and Feed the Void. Chaos Accelerant is basically going to buff all your grenades, but the main one I'm focused on is Vortex Grenade, which just increases the size and linger duration of the Vortex. Vortex Grenade is one of the best grenades in the entire game. Not only does it create a small singularity to pull people in, it also does a very hefty amount of damage and will just pretty much disintegrate any enemy that goes inside of it. In Lightfall, Vortex Grenades actually got a 20% damage buff. They did increase the cooldown of them a little bit, but with this build, you don't have to worry about that. So you're basically just getting a free extra 20% damage on top of how good they already were. Now, the other aspect we're going to be playing into is Feed the Void. So defeating a target with a Void ability activates Devour, and then while Devour is active, Final Blows restore health and extend Devour. The other thing Devour does is also give you a bunch of grenade energy on every single kill. So now every time you're killing an enemy, you're getting grenade energy, health, and you're going to be extending that Devour time. And it is extremely easy to keep pretty much infinite Devour up on the Warlock because of this aspect alone. Now for Super, I pretty much would always recommend running Cataclysm. This just does the most damage in PvE. If you want to take something like Vortex, that could also work, but in my opinion, just always take Cataclysm because it can just do a hefty amount of damage. Now for fragments, I'm going to be running Echo of Expulsion. So Void ability Final Blows cause targets to explode. This is just going to help out with ad clear since the Vortex is pulling everyone in. They're all going to die inside the Vortex grenade, which then will again cause explosions to help out targets that don't want to die inside the grenade, and they'll just make them die. It's overall very good. And once we get into our artifact, we can talk a little bit more about this, but our next fragment is Echo of Remnant. So your lingering grenade effects, Vortex Grenade, Void Wall, Void Spike, and Axie Bolt have increased duration. Now, this is basically just going to make your Vortex last longer. This will stack with Chaos Accelerant, which is very, very cool. And you pretty much just have one of the longest lasting grenades on the battlefield at all times. Now, also I'm running Echo of Undermining, so your Void Grenades weaken targets. This is pretty self-explanatory. You throw your grenade on an enemy, you're going to weaken them, which means you do 15% more damage to them. This is good for taking out enemies, on top of also debuffing bosses or champions. Unfortunately, currently in the game, Chaos Accelerant still only gives you one fragment slot, so this is pretty much all we have to work with. But even with that, this is still really, really strong, and in my opinion, one of the best builds in the game. And since we're heavily playing into our grenade, our exotic we're going to be taking is Controverse Hold. This has the exotic perk Chaotic Exchanger. Resist incoming damage while you're charging your Void Grenade. Charged Void Grenades return grenade energy on hit. So this exotic is very strong because not only are you getting that extra grenade energy, but on top of that, you will take reduced damage when you're charging it up. You can use this in a couple different ways. If you need to secure a rest out in the open, you can simply just hold your grenade down to start tanking a lot of damage. Then you can throw it, which again will proc Devour, since your grenade is a Void ability that will heal you to max. You have your teammate rest up, and you're going to be getting grenade energy back all the time. What's really cool about these is the fact that it does work on hit instead of kills, so you can throw this on bosses, champions, mini bosses, anything in the game, and you're going to get a bunch of grenade cooldown rate compared to any other exotic that does require a kill. Pairing that with Devour and some other weapon perks, you have the ability to throw as many of these grenades as you want to, and remember, they do last forever, pair with your aspects and fragments. Now stats, 100 resilience and 100 discipline is needed for this build. If you can get to triple 100s, I would probably just go into recovery to keep your survivability up just a little bit. But if you want to go into strength and play into your melee as well, because this will make enemies volatile and push them away, it can be kind of a fun aspect. But I do mainly just run Empowering Drift, since you already have so much survivability with damage resistance and Devour. You can kind of take this to have it for a bossing scenario, which is really, really good. Then obviously pairing that with a weakened grenade, you'll be doing a ton of damage. Now for the artifact in this current season, what's really cool is that we do have access to volatile flow again. So when you pick up an orb of power, you will be granted volatile rounds for your void weapons. Typically with this build, you would end up taking things like Echo of Instability. So when you get a grenade kill, it will proc volatile rounds for your weapon. If you still want to take this, you can, but you don't need it since you're going to be making orbs everywhere to get armor charge. You now have access to take an additional fragment. That is why I do take Echo of Expulsion. You can kind of swap this out for whatever you want to. I just like this because it does make the Vortex do even more damage and make it more deadlier, which is really good. Now, other main artifact mods are things like Bricks from Beyond. So when you get void weapon kills on powerful combatants, you can generate heavy for you and your teammates. That is really strong since you're mainly going to be using void weapons all the time for volatile rounds. And then even things like shadow orbs can play into this build pretty well. So when you defeat a void shield, you create an orb, which again will proc Devour. You can take things like authorized mods, grenades, and void, so you can reduce all the costs of your void and grenade mods, which makes build crafting a whole lot easier. Even things like Overload SMG is available this season, because most of the time you're going to be running a funnel web or some other void SMG to help really take advantage of volatile flow. And even things like prismatic transfer can be good, because if no one's running void, you can throw your void super out, and now everybody's also getting a damage buff since they are not running the subclass that you are running. But now, speaking of void SMGs, I personally like to run the Unforgiven, but like I said, you can run the funnel web or just any other void weapon you like. The main thing is you just need it to be void so you can't take advantage of volatile rounds. The reason I like the Unforgiven so much is because it does come with demo and golden tricorn. Demolitionist gives you grenade energy on kill, and when you throw your grenade, it will reload your gun. Since you're throwing your grenades all the time, you're always going to have your gun reloaded, and you're getting a bunch of grenade energy back since you're always getting kills with this weapon. Getting kills is going to be even easier because of golden tricorn, because the way this works is when you get a kill, you're going to get a damage buff, but then if you get an ability kill that matches that weapon's element, which is void, you would turn this to a 50% damage buff, which is just ridiculous for a primary weapon, especially pairing that with volatile rounds. Is then obviously going to again make it extremely easy to start getting kills to reproc a demo, so then you can reproc golden tricorn. This also can come with repulsive brace if you would like that to get an overshield, but honestly, with the amount of survivability you already have with Devour, I don't think repulsive brace is needed too much, but if you want to take that, you can definitely run that as well. Now, for other weapons, I would highly recommend taking a void power weapon. Since you're going to be taking advantage of volatile flow in the first place, you might as well just get that extra void damage. I have things like a red heron equipped. Even Taipan's still relatively good. I know they did nerf linear fusion rifles, but this is still extremely good if you are playing into volatile flow. I've been trying out two-tailed fox a little bit, which is pretty fun. And then in your primary slot, you can honestly just take whatever you want to, but just know that volatile rounds actually does have intrinsic anti-barrier, so that is one less thing you have to worry about. And with the current season, again, your SMGs do have overload, so maybe if you want to run Bastion in this slot to have unstoppable, so you can just kind of round out everything and don't have to worry about any champions or have to swap anything. Now, these are the mods I'm running if you all would just like to copy them down before I go super in depth with them and try to figure everything out for yourself. But starting off with the helmet, we're going to be running a void siphon. So when you get rapid void weapon final blows, you will create an orb of power. Orbs are very strong. Again, that will proc your volatile flow on top of giving you armor charge, which is going to be really good for this build as well. Now, I'm also going to be running double ashes to assets. This mod is extremely strong, so you're going to gain bonus super energy when you get grenade kills. Since this build is all around buffing that grenade as much as you possibly can, this just means you're going to get a bunch of supers in return, which again will help out with things like prismatic transfer, which is on your artifact. Also, obviously, just spamming a bunch of supers is really good as well. Now, for my arms, I will be running a void loader. Since I'm mainly running void weapons, I can get all the reload speed up for them as much as possible. I will also be taking a firepower, so when I get kills with my grenade, I'll spawn an orb of power. So now I have two different ways to make orbs, which is really good, again, to proc volatile flow and get armor charge, and bolstering detonation, so I'll get some class ability energy every time I do damage with a grenade. So like I said, you have your powering rib for a damage scenario, so what you can do is throw this down, then throw your weakened grenade. You will then get some class ability energy back, so you can have it for a next damage phase. Now, for chest piece, I am just running triple resistant mods. You can take these out for literally whatever encounter you're going into. Just be aware what damage type the enemies do, so you can properly swap these out for whatever you need. Now, on the boots is extremely simple. I'm going to be running 3 void weapon surges, and the reason these are 1 cost is because of the authorized mods void and my artifact. So that means I can run 3. With 3, you are getting a 22% damage increase that does stack with everything. So essentially the way this works is it's based on your armor charge. When you have armor charges, they will actually decay now, which is on a 10-second cooldown, but you can get up to 3 armor charges. So obviously with 3 armor charges and at 10 seconds, that is going to be a 30-second damage buff of 22% increased damage. These are very strong and not only crucial for the build to do extra damage with your power weapon, but also pairing that with things like golden tricorn or just any other damage perk on your primary weapon, you will be able to slay a bunch of ads with a primary, which is really, really good. And finally, for my bond, I'm going to be running a bomber, so I get some grenade cooldown back when I use my class ability. Again, you have things like bolster and detonation giving you class ability. Now your class ability will give you some grenade energy. Then distribution to kind of help out with everything. This will give you some grenade and class ability. And then finally, I'll be running a time dilation. So this will make my decay and armor charge last a little bit longer. So we'll buff that 10 seconds up to 15 seconds, which again, if you have 3, will be 45 seconds of increased damage, which is really, really good. And if you wanted to take out the distribution for another one, that will actually bump it up to 18 seconds. But just having one of these slotted in is way more than enough. But if you want the extra time, be sure to go for it and slot that in. But that is pretty much the build as a roundup. Again, all you're really trying to do is throw as many grenades as possible with your constant reverse hold. Your aspects are giving you more damage for that grenade. It's going to heal you a lot. Your fragments are basically making that grenade even more stronger as well. On top of all that, you're getting a bunch of orbs from your void weapon kills, your grenade kills, which again will give you armor charge, which will then give you a huge damage increase. Your grenade is going to give you some class ability energy back, alongside your class ability giving you some extra energy back for everything else. Your weapons will have the ability to stun pretty much all your champions if you do equip something like Bastion, which is really, really cool. And you're going to be taking advantage of some of the best artifact mods in the game, like Volatile Flow, Amberx, and beyond, because you are primarily going to be running this in a void setup. And I think I forgot to mention is that choke clip on Riptide does have the champion stunning capabilities of Overload and Unstoppable because of the slow and shatter. So again, pairing that with volatile rounds, you really don't have to swap anything out, which is just really, really good. Now, like I do at the end of all these videos, this is the transmog I'm running if you all would like to make your Warlock look like this. I tried to go with, let's have as many grenades as possible. As you see with the new chest piece, I assume these are grenades that are on the Warlock, so we can just spam them all the time. But then I also do have the ornament on the Controverse hole, which looks really, really cool. So overall, it does have that void look, and I really, really like it. But I think that is going to do it all for me. Let me know what y'all think about this build in the comments below. And if y'all would like to try this out, I will have a dim link to it in the description below as well. And as always, if y'all did enjoy and learn anything new from this video, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me at any of my socials, all that being linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.